Recording. How are you, Ed?
I'm good, David. And today we're doing Prism about the event on the 9th.
Okay, let's do it.
Three different levels to the event. One whole day event, exchanging money for credits. Two action cycles, three Eco Squared workshop. I've also got a couple of others where I think I need to introduce the event and some concepts. And then also Delic's own workshop where you will get the chance to introduce Eco Squared. Eco Squared workshop we should cover as well, but I feel like were we going to come up with a Prism system, or we've kind of come up with a provisional Prism system for today, which is 20 minutes, dividing the hour into three sets of 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I haven't got that note here, but how was that? Was that 20 minutes in the past, as in Prism, and where we've got to 20 minutes on forming the event that's happening on the 9th, and then 20 minutes, what's the last 20 minutes?
Well, it's meant to be the past, middle, and future. So 20 minutes the past, reviewing stuff, 20 minutes like what are we doing right now, and 20 minutes going into the future saying what do we need to do for next week.
Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. But is the middle in this sense going to be a discussion of the event on Saturday being kind of quite present?
Yeah.
Part of the present, and then...
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes. We could say, right, we could do a little summary of the past 5 minutes. We could do that in 5 minutes.
Okay, and we could maybe do a kind of cut off at 20 minutes and come back to the section if you have time.
Yeah.
From the other sections, but yeah, keeping it so everyone knows that there's a maximum of 20 minutes if you need it, and possibly more. Okay, so a maximum, possibly more. Excellent. That's the kind of thing I love about conversation. Everyone knows what that means, even though it makes no sense. But that's valid. I mean, that's why we're doing this format, because people do know what you mean, and that's important. Okay, so not to waffle. So the past. So let's talk about Prism. I think we should just talk a quick rundown on what we've done so far. We felt a bit, slightly at sea, I suppose, doing it so far in a way. And that's part of the Prism, is to have that space to be at sea, but we want to be able to get actions out of it. And I feel that we are getting actions. We've got this event coming up. It's going to be good, and it's quite well finely tuned because of these Prisms. We've got a good format in the offing, but it still needs to be finalized. But yeah, we've come up with two rules. One's that one and one's that one. So this is where you want to make a point so the other person knows you're going to make a point. And this is stop and, regroup and let the other person speak, I think today was also about summarizing for potential notional audiences of the future, like some of these ideas in a short space of time. And one of the things we're going to do at the event on Saturday is a action cycle. So we've got Prism, which is the way of getting actions out of a conversation. This is a Prism. And you've got an action cycle, which is more like a group, face-to-face group activity that does a similar thing, aims to get action out of people in a short space of time. And then the overall thing that allows the action to take place is the Eco Squared economic, which is a means to transact a value that is recorded and in some way can map onto, or at least to make use of the money system.
Yeah, and I think it's lit. Basically, that little idea is the minimum system of Eco Squared. Effectively, if I've got an idea, I think it's an interesting idea, you share it forwards. So it's just the number of times you share, because every time you share, you add some money. Simple as that.
So when you share, you add money, and in this ideal world, you kind of receive what you get for free. It modeled on the internet, where so much content is free. When you receive it, then you store it with value and pass it on to friends. So you're like, that deserves value. So I'm sharing it with friends, and when I do so, I'm also sharing money onwards. and then your friends do the same, and so on, until the natural value of that piece of content has been reached through your social networks, and eventually the money goes back to the content creator. And lit, there are lots of functionality issues and challenges there, but it's a very focused mission that makes those challenges very clear. And we've got, David, your idea for a minimum viable product is just a very simply something that you get when you press the share button on your mobile phone. You don't just get Facebook and WhatsApp and all the rest of it. You get lit. And when you use the lit button, you know that you've subscribed to lit for, say, $5 a month or whatever. And when you press lit, you know that you're backing that share with money, and so on.
Okay, we've got a new symbol. I agree. Perfect. Brilliant. Actually, although in some languages, I think that's meant to be like really rude.
Well, depends how you gesticulate. So
anyway,
yeah.
Brilliant summary. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a summary where we've got up to. Just as an aside, over this last week, I've been doing more writing. So, you know, the thing with Pete is happening slowly. We'll see if it has a result. This campfire thing, he's got sparks. He calls them sparks. So his version is sparks and stuff. So we'll see how far he wants to go with that. But I've been writing stuff, and I've got a very interesting premise for some kind of fantasy world-like thing. And I've been writing over the last few weeks, actually, last month. And I'm meant to be writing it out now. So I've got this month to make it happen. So I'm writing short stories, I guess, and scenarios maybe for a role-playing game. That's meant to be my main output this month. And maths. All right, a little bit of maths. I did a nice little bit of maths at 4 o'clock in the morning this last weekend. Got invited to some not a party, a birthday event thing at Central Parks, family thing. And crazy place, Central Parks, crazy place. And but I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was like bright. So I went out and then I did some maths. So I think it's possible to produce over this month some maths that combines Prisoner's Dilemma, Bayes' theorem, and a basic way of mapping realities, how two people engage. So how can we map that all together in a mathematical structure such that it might actually be useful for us, so that it can kind of prove that cooperation is actually a way of going forwards. So we'll see. But so that was good. I feel quite good. You know, even though we're on day 5 now of my final month, as it were. So
yeah, wow. As in, wow, yeah. As in final month of what? Of working on without having to do another job.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Well, you know, there's like an end date. Let's just call it the end date at the end of this month, June. So anyway, that was my little review of the past. Shall we go forwards, or do you want to say anything else just quickly about what you've done over this last week? Give us a little summary.
Yeah, so my last week has been about getting this space in the studio space where the event's going to be. The event will be in this space that I'm in now. Okay, the event space is here, kind of like a hack space. There's a room, that bright doorway there enters another room where we'll do workshops and stuff. And then we'll have open studio. People can wander around the whole space. It goes a bit further back, you know, a lot further back over there. It's an old supermarket that we're using for this event, the supermarket of ideas. And we've been also working on potentially a music space upstairs in the rafters, which we got lots of insulation, and we can use that like waste insulation from other works downstairs that we're going to reuse for soundproofing upstairs. So that's in terms of a creative project, that's as close as I'm getting at the moment. But I'll get back to music at some point. I've been saying that for 10 years now, but
well, let's see if we can do something. Maybe we could squeeze something in when I go up there and on the 9th, somewhere before or after or something.
Well, yeah, maybe recession. Cool. But yeah, so in terms of the night, so now that I think we're there now. Let's
Okay.
talk about that. The ninth, the present, what we're preparing for. Uh, so there's I have to send a message to this person. So
While you're doing that, I'll say a few words.
yeah, go for it. Sorry.
While you're doing that, the event, the ninth. I've only got a couple of events happening this summer because I haven't been chasing anybody and anything like that. So, in terms of actually people kind of pulling, actually trying to actually do something, there's Ed and there's Pete. Nobody else is really pulling. So I'm like, okay. So, tried to conduct the 1 billion a month. Started it last Friday when I went off to Centre Parks, which is not ideal. And so far, I don't think it's moved at all. So in terms of engine testing, it's like past the first. That's it. We haven't sparked the engine. Let me put it that way. So if we're trying to go to the moon, we're just going, and the engine, no ignition. So, such is life. But that was meant to be my attempt for June. People don't get it. That's okay. So,
well, there's June the 9th is coming up. It's the early part.
Oh yeah. It's different things. Different systems, different ideas about how we do things. So, but in terms of the real world thing, yours sounds like an experiment. We'll see what the result is.
So, in terms of the money model, obviously, I'm dealing with with the trustees of IR11 who are hosting the event, and in that sense, just need to integrate some of that thinking. But I think we've done that a lot in between this Prism and the last Prism. We're basically coming up with a token system where people are receiving the initial resources for free from donors who have been willing to bring things like beer and food. And then when they receive that free, then if they're passing it on, they can use tokens to pass it on to their friends.
I think that they should be passing on when they receive the beer, they get a token.
Okay,
so
cool. Yeah, good point.
We give tokens to the people who are producing stuff as well.
Yeah, the producer comes, so this just kicks off the system. I'm getting that right. You're right. I got that wrong.
Yeah. I don't mind floating that, as it were. We don't actually have to back it up with cash per se.
Maybe, but if you do that,
the rule is it's only the people that come. When they leave, they can exchange their tokens back into money.
Yeah.
Because the content creators, they put in tokens, it means that we're going to have those at the end anyway. So they're not going to. So we don't actually have to have that backed by money. All right, at this stage, it'd be helpful if it was, but if it isn't, that's okay. So, for example, if you want to produce beer, you want to share your beer, you go ahead and share your beer. I will give you a bunch of tokens. Say, right, share your beer, and here's some tokens to share it. So people get the idea. So everything. So they go to a workshop and they get the workshop and they get given tokens. And so they can share those tokens forwards to invite people to go to more workshops. Although I'm not sure how many workshops are going on.
I'm interested about how the tokens will work, actually, specifically at the workshops, because the food and the beer we've got a model for, and we've got a model for people exchanging ideas. Like, I declare an idea, and therefore I give you a token. In conversation, we'll encourage that. People won't do it comprehensively. They won't remember to. It's very difficult to do it in conversation, but it's a nice thing to remember. And if there's a particular moment in the conversation where someone's grateful, they're like, oh, right, wow, thanks. And instead of giving the person a token, the person who came up with the idea gives them a token.
That's right. You like the idea? Here's some money.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit weird.
That's the interesting reversal, and that's where the point at which we would like to get to is people getting to that eureka moment, maybe in conversation, and then second guessing and then having a double take and going, actually, I'm giving you the money as well, because it creates that gift economy and it matches the value with the actual value, the direction of the value going outwards, and that's the interesting difference.
That is the difference of the action but it's only the social feedback loop that justifies it. So that means, for example, if I've come up with an idea and I, tell you and you, oh, that's a good idea. And I say, okay, here's a credit, share it. Okay. And then you go away and share it with somebody else and you pass on the credit and you go, ooh, and then you meet somebody else and you want to share it on the same idea. You add your own credit and give it to the second person.
It makes sense.
So
it's like a kind of
things moving forward with the idea. And at the end, maybe at the end, so when you see it on the list on the wall, and there's a thing for that idea, you go, oh, that idea, oh yeah, that is a good idea. Here's my cash. I remember that. Here's my credit for carry on with that idea. And if it's spread to 10 people, then it should have 10 credits. All right, even though the initial guy might have only shared the idea once.
Yeah. So there'll be kind of like slight inconsistencies or imperfections in trying it in this way, but it's kind of like a big game essentially. And we'll see what happens, and we'll see what elements there was friction and things didn't work. But that kind of comes down to the same practical self-criticism maybe that you do anyway after an event. It just happens that the token system is one of them, where there'll be a couple of practical issues. But okay, I like that. So it's really good, but like you say, it relies on, it's like I give you a token for my idea as well, and then you go, great, I can't believe I'm actually getting a token as well. I can pass this on to someone, and because I'm enthusiastic, of course I'll pay, but I'm not paying the guy directly and sinking the cash back into the guy. I'm paying it out into a system that can ripple outwards, and other people can like the idea and add a token or just pass the token on, and you get to your natural value, and that's circulating in the space.
Yeah.
And then you then you spend it at the end on the thing that you valued most. I don't know how that's going to work in terms of people exchanging ideas with each other.
I don't know.
Actually,
I don't know.
But
we could do that for everything. That's the point. You could do it for the beer. If we do it for the beer and we do it for the food, it means at the end people look at it and go, oh, okay, the food. Oh yeah, it was tasty. Here's some credits for next time, so that people can give out the food with the credits next time. So you have a pay it for with the established things. And we can have these other boxes for the workshops. And we can have these other boxes for ideas that somebody randomly came up with. And they said, I came up with this idea. If you've seen this, stick in a credit so I can go forwards with it.
Yeah.
So
I'm interested by that.
Across the whole range.
I've got two things. I agree. And that's what it should be, that the tokens should work across the whole range. But it needs to be kind of intuitive as to how it works, rather than like saying, okay, when you're doing this activity, you use your token in a separate way.
It's exactly the same. Whenever you share anything, you give tokens, whether it's beer, whether it's food, whether it's a workshop, or it's an idea. If you go da-da-da-da and the other person receives it, then you say, oh, okay, and here's some cash. All right. And it shouldn't matter what it is. It's whatever it is that you are going da-da-da, and the other person says, thank you, kind of. They've received something, then you have to give them cash.
Yeah, that's good. No, I think it's good. I think also what's nice about it is actually it's down to the person deciding what they themselves, what they say, of what they themselves say is of enough value for them to also say, right, here's my idea, and there's a token for this because I believe in it and it's valuable. Whereas the rest of it's just normal conversation, shooting the breeze. And when you come up with something valuable, then you bring in your token.
Yes. Okay, especially if the token has got a reference to, for example, the beer. How much is a beer? Well, in your system, how much roughly is a beer? I mean, how much literally is the cost of the beer, roughly?
Oh, okay, so like £1 per drink, say, production cost.
Really? Okay, so that would be 100 credits. So when you give a beer, you give 100 credits. Okay. And people then go, okay, 100 credits, that's the beer, all right? And the food, it might be like 300 credits or 200, whatever it is. And they get a bit of food, and so they know the value of the credits, and it should be roughly, all right, what food is and beer is, although it's obviously a lot less, 100 credits. So they get an idea. So that means that when they actually share a workshop, and it's like, 10, they know 10, well, that's a tenth of a beer. Okay, so everybody, you start doing that naturally. That's what we do in the real world. And so they will do that. So this idea, how much is this idea? Is it worth the equivalent of a beer, 100, or is it just one? Crappy little idea, here's one. And it's just nominal. Fine. And so we've got this idea that ideas and beer are all in the same, what are you valuing?
There is value,
The point is as you give it. So
yeah.
we'll see if at the end of it, when people put in the cash, pay it forwards, whether they actually maintain that. So at the end of it, you say, the beers should be around about 100. That's if we want to do this next time, we are giving away beers at about 100 credits. So if you drank 2 beers, you kind of like, you should be putting at least that in to go,
Yeah.
at least for somebody to have the same experience that I've had.
So that we've covered the value and the equalization of value, if you will, between physical commodity or product, not commodity, but a physical thing and a mental thing, a product of your own giving of your own knowledge or whatever you value to have value externally to you, whatever you yourself put a token behind the thing that you're saying, that's value, and so is the beer and the food. But what's my question? My question is, okay, you could do it with and without the choice at the end as to what pot you put your tokens into, right? So say when you have the choice, but you could just cash out, right?
Yeah.
The question is, when you cash out, I think it could be elegant and simple to have a system where when you cash out, if I bring a keg of beer and I get X number of tokens for that keg of beer, then when my tokens get circulated with all the rest of the tokens, it means that when people cash out at the end, they get given less than the value of tokens that they put in. So say they spent £1 on tokens when they came in, they get tokens from the beer, but the beer hasn't had cash against it. It's just product.
No, they can't. They can only take out as much as they put in, definitely. So if they've put in, you have to make a note at the door or something. If they've put £1, that's it. Even if people give them lots of stuff, they can only take out £1. That's it. That's easy.
No, I don't think so. Because if you get given the value, if you get given loads of tokens, people keep coming up to you with ideas and you have no ideas of your own, and you get given like 10 tokens more than you put in, you can cash it out. That's the point. Because that other person's donations covers it.
Okay, in which case you open up your problem as you've suggested.
But you don't want to. This is a separate point. What you're saying is, this is important, and we've got 10 more minutes of this 20-minute section. But basically, if you have got more, you can cash more out. You could just selfishly earn lots of money, be really passive in the event, and get more money. I mean, that's almost illustrative and quite valuable. If someone did that, it'd be like, look how much you can make by doing nothing, And
well, you drank the beer, you listen to a bunch of people, you got a lot of credits, and you fuck off with all the money. Okay.
No, but how unhelpful.
But that means you won't be invited.
But that's it. It's like it's a gift economy. So without gift, it falls. So if you
I know, but okay, right now in our current economy, sorry, we're having a bit of a messy conversation, but right now in our current economy, that's the problem. It's called the freeloader problem, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
People take stuff and sponge and they don't actually contribute. And, how do we stop that from happening? And then we have all these systems to try and make sure people don't do that. And then there's a whole bunch of people trying to break the rules or trying to get around the rules to continue to sponge. And it's like, oh my God. And we can't really have that. The way within Eco Squared, the way it's meant to work, is you don't get invited. Okay, so if somebody shares something with you and you just bugger off or don't do anything with it, they're not going to share stuff with you again. So you can't just come along. You can't just come along and buy your way in, which is what we currently got, is you actually have to be invited by somebody. Mm-hmm. Somebody actually has to say, oh, no, come along to this. You're trustworthy. Da, 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 da. And if they then leave with more money than they came with, and they didn't actually come up with content, and they didn't bring the beer, and they didn't bring ideas, they didn't bring stuff, then for them to leave with more money, it's a bit like, well, I'm not going to invite them again.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
but it's I like
we
that.
have that invite aspect. So therefore,
we do in the sense that people are invited on Facebook, but it's not specific invites. I have actually asked everyone at IR11, the trustees, to invite a couple of people, and I'm going to invite a couple of people personally and have done. But it's also gone out publicly on Facebook, so people are invited. But maybe that would be illustrative. You might bring someone who wasn't very good, you weren't thinking enough, and they came and they took everything. But wait though, sorry, you go.
No, no, it's okay. No, no. This means you can just, I'm not saying stop, so you can just carry on. It's a gentle thing. I'm definitely not stopping you.
All right. I'm just saying, what it's kind of like matches the pay it forward thing, right? Because you allow someone to do that essentially. It's like, but you find out in terms of statistics, like one person ruins the whole, bad apple ruins the whole bunch. That kind of really simple adage, which has truth to it. But it's like you allow it to happen. They're free to do it. It's just the consequences, they're not invited again, rather than you spend a whole lot of money on a jail system that ends up oppressing the drug addicts, and do you know what I mean? And creating a circular problem. Like you just sort of, they're excluded, like you say, and then they'll re-enter when they feel that and they'll probably learn. Maybe, I don't know, but it doesn't form part of the system.
I agree. The problem is, yes, you're inviting people, but we're not actually tracking it. That's the point about Eco Squared, is that it is tracking that system. So you can see when you share something with somebody and they don't push it forwards, you go, right, okay, they're not sharing that forwards. With our game, people will come, buy some credits, then they bugger off. We won't know because it's not tracked electronically. There is no feedback loop that people can legitimately, unless, we make a note. I mean, if we are a little bit harsh about it, we can say, oh, your name, okay, here's your email, okay, great, here's how much you put in, here's how much you're taking out, okay, bye. And then we can track that and go, well, this person, that person.
Yeah.
But that sounds a bit hideous. That sounds a bit hideous. I would rather not do that. I would rather it be done electronically so that, it's just happening and individuals track other individuals, and that's it. There's no, organizational,
Carry on, please.
I know it's tricky, isn't it? Carry on. I'm stopped.
So no, like I agree, and that's why we talked about stamps, and you could stamp the credits and see where how they travel through the room and what they get spent on and stuff. And it's just too clunky for a physical system. All of that is almost like promotion of a digital system, and we're talking about digital systems on the day a lot. But I think people will get the idea that the token is kind of a surrogate for a digital, like a more efficient system. However, you will still be able to get the regular, reasonable stats, which is that, you count the number of tokens you started with, you count the number that you end with, and you realize, right, some people actually walked off with tokens in their pocket that they've forgotten or just not returned, right? Some people, and then you've got the cash, the way the cash works against the tokens, right? Okay, so people put in £1, but because the beer was in kind and the beer is also worth a token, then that reduces the value of the token. So they might put £1 in, but they only get ATP back out for that token. That was the point. Yeah. But that was the point I was trying to make earlier. So do we just let them take an exact number out for the number that they put in, and the beer person is just donating, and the food person is just donating? Or do you work out a way where everyone's reasonable enough to go, I don't want to have to choose between beer and food at the end? Sorry, it's just going off the hook. That you don't want to have to choose between beer, food, and then 3 really interesting projects, because you want beer and food, and you also want to back the interesting projects that have come out of the day, which are the options that you could put money into. Therefore, you could do the currency thing that I was suggesting, which is you absorb the cost of the resources everyone's enjoying. Like, they're in kind, but they're a tax, but they're in kind. They're not money. No one's taking any money. We're bringing beer and food, and therefore the direct cost of production is covered by everyone's donations, and that reduces the value they get back per token.
Okay, we have to come up with a very simple proposition. Okay, as soon as we start talking about that, I just go, oh my god, and I'm a math teacher, and I start going, bah. All right, I honestly think that we park it as a parameter, and we basically say, when you come back out, if you've got the same number of credits, we'll give you the cash back. If you've not had a good time, blah, 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 blah. If you brought £1 worth, you get £1 worth, you will leave with that. All right. Anything more than that, sorry, that stays. Okay, so, and that's it. And if you don't want to leave that money, fine. Okay, it will stay within the system. Okay, if it stays within the system, what we're saying at the end, and I don't quite understand why you don't like this, is they have a bunch of bins and you put it into for the next time. So if it's beer, and so it's not just an exclusive, only got one credit. I'm going to have hundreds. £1 is 100 credits. Yeah. So as I say, right, 20%, 50% is on the beer, 25% is on the food, 10% is on workshops, bunch of ideas. All right, 50 on a bunch of ideas. Fine, okay? And we just let people just do that. And as I say, we put a rough estimate on top of them because that's what was originally shared. When you came in with your beer, it should be 100, all right? So it says, a beer, it's about 100, okay? And if you want to pay forwards that for somebody for the next event to have a beer, here's the 100, which you will get, okay? And you'll get that. And if it's their money, okay, and they brought in £1 and they put that 100 straight into the beer, it means you will actually have £1 for next time.
Yeah.
You'll still have to bring your free beer, but at least you'll have £1. No, actually, then you can pay for whatever it is. Bring your beer, all right? Yeah. Bring your beer because that's being paid for. Do you see? So
yeah. No, I see. It works.
I think that the credits we give you, the content creators at the beginning, is effectively neutralized if we don't allow people to leave with more than they came with. Okay,
that's interesting.
I think mathematically we're just going to have that extra, but the extra is kind of almost just like a vote. All right, it'll be a little bit messy. So if all the money, for all the credits go into beer, what about the guys with food? They'll say, well, we haven't got anything. It's like, well,
exactly.
Nobody wants to give forward your food. What can we say?
Okay, so in that sense, so that's interesting, right? I agree. First of all, by default, let's say we're doing that, right? Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is that is very interesting because the food and the drink is the one commodity that we, by choice, have set the event up to be available to everyone. Now, it's some people's choice not to drink beer and not to eat food. However, it's the one thing that is there and kind of you can just pick up for free. And well, I suppose you can do that. You can dip into the workshops, but I think a system that does work for everything is great. My question is it not actually simpler? So say, for example, at the end, all the money that is made and all the tokens that are returned, you work out, I guess you couldn't do this practically though, you're right. But I just want to say that it's not too complex. I just want to explore it and then let's reject it. Because this is why, because when you're working non-digitally, like you say, you have to do a calculation afterwards. So if someone leaves at 5 p.m. and the event finishes at 6 p.m., we would have to count up everyone's tokens for the whole day at the end of the day and then do a divide by how much cash, right? But that calculation is easy. It's 2 figures. It's 1 division. And then they would, if it was online, they'd be able to be apportioned, a share or apportioned easily what they were due for the tokens that they returned. But the thing is, they would have to wait until the whole system, the results were in for the whole system. And that's what makes it clunky and annoying.
Yeah, no, you've got a slightly different idea. I think it should just be like a one-to-one relationship with money. The only difference is that you guys bring in the beer, we're giving you a bunch of credits, equivalent of that. And that would imbalance the system. But because it's a closed system and people could the only thing that we're really getting input of money really is the people coming through the door. So that's the actual cash. And that has an equivalent number. And then you've got the ratio of all the credits that we've given you for free, as it were. And that ratio is exactly the same. Okay, so whatever comes through the door, if only £10 comes through the door, and we've given out £100 worth of credits, or let's say £90 of credits, it's 10 to 90. So 10% of the credits are actually money-based, and 90% are not. And at the end of it, when they give stuff, and let's say nobody takes any money out, it means when you distribute it all, only 10% of those is actually cash. Okay, so if you get it all, then you will get the 10%, i.e. 10 quid. If you only get half of it, then you'll only get 5 quid. Yeah. All right. So you basically, I think it's a relatively simple calculation, and it just means this way everybody goes, okay, this is equivalent to £1. £1 is yes, that's it. All right, don't worry about it. We're not doing any fractions, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, that's what it is. The bit is, I think if we do that as clear as that, we're really trying to indicate it's going forwards. So if you share something, here's the money. Well, it's not money, it's credits. You can even come up with a name. We still haven't come up with a name. All right. Is it lit? Is it what? What is it?
Okay. Well, let's come up with a name next, but we need to finish this. So basically they come in, pay whatever, get the equivalent in tokens.
Yeah.
Then and that's based on, let's say, the existing value with the beer and the food. However we've decided to price it, you guys agree, and we say, right, this is the unit price of the production of beer, not a profit-making thing, just production.
That's up to you. No, that's just you you just have to say, how many credits do you want? You say, I want here's the best.
Right.
And you decide.
Okay.
I think. But it should be, it should be £1, guys. You're saying, well, it's kind of £1. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So, So
you're not happy with that?
No, I'm just thinking about it. I'm just generally, I think it's fine. So people come and they can, the key for me is that you can transfer that back out into normal money if you leave, if you want to. So the amount that you came with, you can transfer back out, or you can transfer half the money back out and you can put half of it in the value bins.
And leave it in, yeah.
Right. Simple as that. Okay.
Yeah, simple. So, yeah. But the interesting thing is, well, not the interesting thing, the only thing is we need to have somebody on the door that does that.
That's fine. I've got plans for that already.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
Okay, so that's cool, and I really like it. I really think it's valuable because the people are bringing that value. You're donating your ideas in the same way that I'm donating the beer.
Yes.
And then in the hope that within a gift economy that the money returns because people are generally kind of considerate to the fact they've had beer and they just do a mental calculation themselves.
The thing is not sustainable if people don't pay for it in effect. They don't, they have to contribute something. Okay. Yeah. If you don't contribute something to the party, we're not going to have another party. So it's not like this beer's for free and you bugger off and, more beer's for free because there's some wealthy people that are being charitable. It's like, no, you made this beer. You made this beer and you're giving it, which is great, but how are you going to make more beer? Okay. And that question, how are you going to make more beer so you can supply the beer for the next people? It's like, does that mean you need something? Well, kind of, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually think that it's possible to do the other thing without needing to do a calculation afterwards, though, because you could just get all the money that comes in the door and calculate all the number of tokens in the room and then remove the value of the food and the beer from it as the two physical items that are being sold. And then I think it is also a simple model, but it's different from the one you're suggesting. My only problem is the reason it's just from
we can do both calculations. The money going forwards in the bins is not a concrete thing. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
We can do whatever we want to do.
This is the thing. We need to be concrete on this before Saturday, because the bins. That's all. This is now down to kind of experiences of events, and the door and people's just the way people are and what they're expecting. Like, I'm asking myself now whether if you go to the exit and you've got to choose between beer and food and 3 workshops, would it not be better to have people focus on, especially given the supermarket of ideas, focus on the ideas and the projects that are going forward and not have to worry about, food and thing, and then you do the food and the beer through the value token reducing, or you just more straightforward and just get people as an exercise, which is again a bit clunky and slightly boring at the end when they leave, of what did I actually do? What did I do? But it's quite good for them to be conscious of everything, not and actually to include everything rather than pander to people's expectations. It's quite good to actually make people think about the whole lot.
I think so. So if they've received a beer and they've received the 100 credits and they remember that they received 100 credits with the beer, they might remember that. Okay, especially if they've got 2, they'll go, I received 200 credits. Now, if at the end of it they've got more than 200 credits, okay, and they should, okay, if they brought in the money and done nothing else but drank 2 beers, they'll have, let's say, 100 credits that they brought. they've been given another 200 credits. They've not received anything else for whatever reason. They just haven't received anything else. And at the end of it, they're going to leave and they say, well, yeah, it was a good experience. It was a good experience. And they go to the door and it's, beers, blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh, the beers, that was 100 good. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Get another 2 beers for the next guy. Yeah, yeah, definitely worth it. Beer's good. Fantastic. And then they do the other stuff and they go, oh, that workshop. Oh yeah, I like that workshop. Even though I don't know why they didn't receive any credits for that. Here's some. Yeah. And so they give for the rest of them. So I can see that, but you're saying people might not do that.
I see that. Okay, and I also think, but what, like, then in just the hypotheticals about how it might work on the day, what happens, like, say you get given 2 beers and you didn't really want the second one, right? You might go, this system gives you the freedom to go, right, yeah, I'm giving 100 back for beers, but actually I could have done without a second one, because even though I enjoyed it, it was quite a workshopy event and I actually would have been better off not taking the second beer. So I'm actually going to spend that 100 on a workshop, and I'd be free to do that. And then, like, the beer producer, having donated it, is happy that in that case they didn't get that 100, because actually someone else in the room's like, I wish there was more beer, and gives an extra 100. But it manages, that currency manages that kind of preference. But what you get in the end is the natural value, and that's the one aspect of this whole system that's quite interesting and potentially cutthroat. I mean, cutthroat in a sort of, in a sense, is that the natural value does come out, and obviously people's mercy and people's, like, consideration of all the providers comes into it too, so that might balance it. But actually the natural value comes out, so if the beer wasn't good, it wouldn't be paid for. Kind of thing. Yeah, nobody's going to pay forwards to a beer that wasn't good. They'll just go, the beer, God, that was awful. Right, food, well, that was good. Interestingly, whereas in a normal economy they pay first.
Well, interestingly as well, restaurants, I thought about this the other day, is that you actually do pay at the end. Okay, and if you don't like it, you do leave.
Oh, well,
okay,
you can leave without paying the tip or whatever.
Yeah, no, without paying the money for the food. All right, you pay at the end.
You can.
Fast food, you pay at the start.
You can do that, but I mean, it's very.
I don't know. I think that's the philosophy of the food, and paying at the end of eating. All right, I do think it is actually. Was it good? And if it wasn't, I'm off. I think there's actually a bit of psychology in it. Anyway, look, we yabbed on about it. I think it can work. Have you looked at the links for the tokens?
Yeah, so I saw you sent me links, man. I haven't seen the actual physical tokens.
Well, we need to get them. Okay, and it's Tuesday today. I'm happy to order them and get them, and then I can stamp them and have a whole bunch ready. All right, that's what I can do.
Let's do that after this. I'll do it in 5 minutes. I'll have a look at the links and.
Okay, have a look and then confirm, and say I can get them, and then I can turn up with a whole bunch of EcoSquare, or we can get another stamp, which will cost 20 quid. Huh?
Just use that stamp, man.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Have you got a piece of paper there?
Where does this come off? Oh, there we go.
I think it's like.
Ooh, fantastic.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
So we get some cheap pieces of paper, we stamp them, fine. Or we can get a lit thing. We can get a stamp lit on it.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is that, like, the level at which everyone talks about these things, especially in an event, is like, oh, eco squared, but actually we've all contributed to this idea, which everyone has. Like, the other trustees have contributed to the economics idea. So you get that thing, but it's like, actually you've been working on it for quite a long time, and it's just a stamp. And if this video is here as evidence of our decision, that's why I like Prism, because there's a transparent conversation. Yeah. When people see it, they're like, all right, practical constraints. It's not the end of the world. Like, nothing's perfect, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, God. This isn't going to be perfect at all. This is like rough, very, very rough.
Yeah. And also Eco Squared, it will make people, because you'll be presenting the idea, I'll be presenting at the beginning of the day. I think that the introductions to the day will be important to help people understand it, and I'll be sending out a wee program as well in advance. So after this is finished, I'll move on to that, making that program, having had this chat.
Okay.
What's the time now, actually?
Well, it's 10:02.
Okay, cool. So the future, future off, is that kind of, it's about outcome.
Well, wait. You've got that. You've got the action cycles, which I think we've set up. I've very simply clarified that if people say how much would you be willing to contribute towards this action cycle, start with people don't put it into a pot. They just say maybe this. If they get to the act of commitment, they might put that in or more. But the point is, if you say maybe 1,000, 1,000, then if there are 10 people with maybe 1,000, that means it's maybe 10,000, okay, which will inform what can be done by next week with this budget. If people put a penny, got potentially 10p, what could be done by next week with 10p, okay? Yeah. And the commitment, how you indicate commitment is, yeah, I'm willing to commit this money. And it's only when everybody goes, I'm willing to commit this money, does the actual thing go forward. So if it's a penny, it might not be the same, right? I've never done it with money. People have arguments. Mm-hmm. But it's trying to indicate, we can indicate with the credits that, I have now got to the point where I'm committed to this. Still doesn't mean it's going to go ahead. Okay, you need to have consensus. Okay, yeah. So you can say, okay, I'm willing to commit, and I'll put even more into it. Well, I mean, because I'm like, I think this is the thing. Okay, so it's.
Well, I'm interested by that. Does that mean that there's a natural structure coming for the two action cycles? So the plan is to have one action cycle at the beginning of the day to introduce the idea, and one action cycle at the end of the day to create an actual project that can be something that can be achieved in 1 week for.
Well, because I'm so, I think you should run them, the first one, they get to commitment, they actually get commitment, and they put in the cash. I say, well, that's it. You're going to go for that. Okay. It could be for the day. It could be what could be done by the end of today. It could be that. But, if people actually get to the point of commitment and they really want to do this thing in the morning, go ahead. But you can't just treat it as a trial run. And all you have to do, if you don't want that to happen, is just don't commit.
Yeah.
All right? Well, if anybody does not commit, it's not going to go ahead.
But what I thought was quite nice, given arising from what you're saying here, is quite good. Is the fact that you could spend one action cycle could be about familiarizing people with the with commitment and the idea of it. But what you could do is you could have the first action cycle could be about what kind of level of tokens are you willing to commit, given you just arrived in this place, and and everyone there has their own context, including members of IR11, including me. I'll be there, and everyone inputting their own kind of value of conversational value or whatever. You'll get to something, but you could restrict the first one to be about what level of funding are we going to commit to in the second action cycle, i.e.
Okay. But then, do you see, that's, okay, let that happen in the action cycle, okay, that you, for whatever reason, want to do that for the second one. Okay. People aren't even understanding the first one, then you are trying to talk about limits for the second one, and it's I try and do meta if you want to.
I'm not articulating it well. What I mean is, the first one is about how much people are committing to this idea. The second one is about deciding what that money is going to be committed to.
Okay, I've done various forms of organisation, and I find that people don't turn up a bit later, and people say certain things, and then they don't do it. That's the action cycle. Is a bunch of people coming together, they agree on commitment, and then for whatever reason, the people that are major, they really want to do something, fuck off. They just disappear and never see them again. And you're like, what was that? And because we don't have a network, because we don't have a trust metric, we might do that in other places. That's why we need an equal squared. Yeah. So even from the first one to the second one, I go, people will just disappear. They'll, I've got a meeting to go to. Oh, I really think we should do this. I think really, and we go, oh, okay, great, okay. So we think, okay, right, this person's real. Okay, right, okay, great. Second one, they're not even there. You're like, okay, so what do we do now? And then we're buggered. Okay, so honestly, it's got to be the people in the room. Okay? The people in the room, not just go, right, what's the action? What is the thing that's going to happen? And if we get to commitment, we do. And if we don't, we don't. If you want to suggest things for the second, that's fine. Okay. All right. I know for a fact it's the people in the room. Okay. If it goes any more than that, any kind of dependencies, I honestly, the articulation of two action cycles, I go, I'm not confident, okay, that people we don't have the way of tracking the value, we don't have a way to for us to control.
So what you're saying is the first one is just a trial of the same thing, and the second one's the real thing. But ultimately, they're just otherwise they're the same, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you can treat it as a trial. We can say it's like a trial, but let's try and do it. Let's see if we can actually come up with something. The experience of trying to do it might actually result in something. Fine. Yeah. And if it isn't, that's fine. Yeah. On the second one, people will learn and go, wait a minute, I committed to something and actually it wasn't such a good idea. And they learn. All right. That's what we do automatically. But let's not discount the possibility that people might actually come up with something in the first action cycle was better.
Are we going to ask them?
That first one was better because we were more.
Yeah. But are we going to ask them? The only difference going to be that we are asking for commitment in the second one, and if so, should we ask for something simple like we're asking people present to commit the same amount of tokens as they came in with, or something like that?
I don't know. I think it depends on the action cycle and what the results are. Some things will require money.
But again, it's all conjecture if we're just doing 2 action cycles. But the first one might be a small amount, like a very small number of a small amount of tokens because it's a trial, and the next one is just more likely to be a larger amount because there'll be more impetus to make it work. I think you're right. I think we just run 2. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Listen, I'm just looking at the time again. 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. I still don't know what the structure of workshops is and stuff. I don't know how many. I don't know any of that. So I'm just going to have this thing and a couple of things to share with. I'm happy to take part in your workshop if you give me an idea of the timings and stuff. It would help.
I think we'll do Trello. I'm going to come up with that program today or tomorrow, and it's going to get okay, everyone who said going or interested on Facebook is getting one of these programs. You and me can talk about the just quickly on Trello and stuff. I'll say like 45 minutes Eco Squared at 2 p.m. to 2:45, and then 10 minutes on Eco Squared during the Delic workshop at 4 p.m. That's all just like timings and a bit of back and forth. But you can choose what you want to do with your 45 minutes. Mostly just introducing Eco Squared, maybe playing a mini action cycle. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, I thought I had a similar idea that it was like last time where you got lots of different stalls, but it's not that.
Yeah, there will be. Well, yeah, but it's not going to be. Well, there might be you could also have a stall space if you like.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant by that thing is that there's a stall there, and when I'm there, I'll try and do a few experiments, and people can go off and do experiments to basically make use of the credits.
I like that variety of there's some semi-permanent stalls, and there's also like focus sessions.
Yeah. In which case, don't add me as a workshop. Add me into yours as a workshop. Okay. It's not a workshop. It's just a little stall where some experiments occur.
That's good because it's good to explain people individually. Right, I'm going to have to shoot off, but we're going to be on Trello, and that was good. I thought.
Yeah, that was good. If we need to engage about the 9th with detail, then obviously we can't phone everything else. Okay?
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, and you've got to give me details as to what time the whole thing starts and time I have to be there.
Well, midday start.
Midday start. Okay.
11:30.
Right. Well, I might have to be there early to take part.
Earlier is fine. You can set up if you want with us. That'd be nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right then. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.